Welcome to How to Start a Website 2.0. You can find the blog article that goes with this session at howtostartawebsite2.com/WP setup. All right, so in this session, we are going to dive into the dashboard of WordPress, and tonight we'll go through various settings and how to create pages and posts. I know you guys are probably really anxious to get started with this. So the first thing we're going to do is scroll down the left-hand side down to settings, and we're just going to go through each tab from beginning to end. We're going to start with general. So if you just hover over settings, that'll bring up a little side panel, and then click on general, and that will bring us to the general settings. Some of the things that we're going to set up in here is the site title. If you haven't done that already, that's something that I did when I did the one-click install on WordPress. So my site title is How to Start a Website 2.0, and that's already in there. If you want a tagline, you can fill that in this next field. A tagline is usually just a really short phrase or sentence that is a brief description of what your site is about. For the time being, I am going to leave that blank. That I might change that in the future if I think of one that is really snappy. So if you go over to howtostartawebsite2.com and you see a tagline, you'll know that I came up with one. But for right now, we're going to leave it blank. It's asking you how you want your WordPress and site address to appear, and I do not like using the W, so it is set correctly without them. And it's also confirming which email address that you want linked to this dashboard for administrative purposes, and I'm fine with the email address that is already in there. The next session is whether or not you want membership on your WordPress. Honestly, there is really no reason to allow anyone to register to your dashboard unless you want to allow contributors or authors or editors to have direct access to this panel. And of course, those various levels of authority give them differing abilities of what they can change within your settings, or whether or not they're able to directly contribute content to your blog. On my last website, I did notice that I was getting a lot of spam registrations to my site because I did have this click that anyone can register as a subscriber. And you get notified every single time somebody registers for your site this way. So for right now, I'm going to say there's really no reason why you want to give anybody that ability. It's a setting you can change in the future if you need to change it. Date format. This is how dates will show up on your comments and your blog posts. So whichever format you like the best is what you can select here. I'm fine with the selection that it has. Same way with the time format. You have varying styles of time format that you can select, and again, I'm fine with the default selection. And then finally, what day of the week does your week start on? And you have your choice of all 7 days. I typically think of my week starting on Monday, so again, I'm going to leave it on the default setting and say that my week starts on a Monday. And you can just save changes to anything that was changed on this screen. And then, as you noticed, under the settings now, uh, all the various tabs are now available. So we just completed general, and next we're going to click on writing. So the various settings in here, formatting. So if you have somebody in a comment, or if you in your blog posts uh, use little emoticons like the smiley face or sticking out the tongue, that you can have that convert to actual little faces. That is checked by default, and I leave it checked. I mean, you can uncheck it if you like. The next selection is WordPress should correct invalidly nested XHTML automatically. I've never seen any reason to change the default setting, which is to leave the box unchecked. Your default post category. Now, if you've, when you're creating blog posts, if you forget to check a category, this is the category that it will go into automatically. Now, we haven't even created any categories yet, so there's not going to be anything here but uncategorized. So if you want this default to be something other than uncategorized, well, after we get into how to create categories, then you would be able to come back here, check this little box, and you would see the whole list then, and you'd be able to change the selection. Right now we're kind of stuck with this because it's the only thing there. And what do you want your default post format to be? And again, there's all different kinds of selections in here. If you intend to be this to be a blog of all video posts, you may want to select the video format. You want, if it's going to be a blog of all audio posts, you may want to select audio. Maybe you're a photographer, so all of your posts are going to be galleries or of images. So, depending on what you're planning to do, is what going to determine what you choose here. If you're intending to do a little bit of everything, or if it's mostly going to be written articles, then you can leave it on standard, which is the default setting. Now, you are capable of sending posts to your WordPress dashboard through email, and that gets set up through a secret email account with POP access. I have never utilized this feature, and just as a precaution, I always take out all of this default stuff as well. It's probably not necessary, but it's something I've done typically in every single website that I've created. So if you want to have the ability to, let's say you travel a lot and you have access to email, but not necessarily to a computer, you could create an email and have your WordPress accepted, and you would just put in the mail server, give it a login name, a password, and then again, which category is that, are those posts going to go into, and once you create other categories, you'd be able to select something other than uncategorized. So update services. So when you publish a new post, WordPress will automatically notify sites to update, and the one in there is pingomatic.com. There is no reason to change that. I've always left that alone as well, and we can just save changes. I don't know that we made any, but we'll click save just in case. Oh, I did change this in here, so click save, and now we're going to go down to reading and click on reading. So this is where you would select what you want your front page to display. Typically what people would call the home page. Do you want that home page to be your blog or your latest post, or do you want it to be a static page, and when everybody new visits your site, no matter if it's now or 2 years from now, it'll be this same page? Right now, because we haven't created any pages whatsoever, well, I guess there is one in there. There's a sample page that came as a default, but if you want a static page, we would have to go create that first, then come back here, and it would be available in this list, and we would be able to select it. So for right now, we're going to just leave the default setting of it being your latest posts. And we can make that decision later as to what is best for your site. And there's different opinions out there as to whether or not your front page should be static or your blog. But honestly, it depends on what you're doing as to what makes the most sense for you. And we'll go over that in a future video. The next setting is blog pages show at most how many posts. This is going to depend on what theme you choose. Some themes at 10 posts is fine. That's the default setting. Other themes that I've used, I've wanted to use 6. Some I've wanted to use 5. So it depends on how you want things to look based on the theme that you choose. So these are things that we can come back to change in the future if we need to. Right now I'm going to leave all the defaults alone. The one thing that I always change though is articles in the feed. And what this means, this means in your blog feed. I'm sorry, your blog feed, but as well as an RSS feed. If you may not be familiar with RSS readers, not everybody has used one, but you can determine how your content shows up in these feeds, whether you want full text or summary. And I've always chosen summary. And then people would have to click through to get the full post done. It just means that your posts take up less space. But if they're in an RSS feed, it also encourages that reader to come to your site to see the full post. For right now, let's see. When you're first building out your site, you may want to discourage search engines from indexing it, but that is totally up to you. It doesn't really matter because until you go out and tell people that you exist, it's unlikely in the very, very early stages that anybody's going to accidentally stumble across your website because you don't have any content on it yet. So there's no search engine optimization going on. You're not putting anything out to social media. You're not tweeting about it. You're not Facebooking about it. So it's very unlikely that somebody's going to stumble on your site until you're ready to tell the world that you're here anyway. So it's totally up to you. I'm going to leave it unchecked for now. I'm going to save changes. The next tab is discussion, and this is your discussion settings. So default article settings. So if somebody let's see, attempt to notify any blogs linked to from the article. Okay, so if you link to other people's blogs or websites, your WordPress will try to notify them that you've done so. So that's up to you whether or not you want to leave that checked. If other blogs link to you, it can create a ping back or a track back on, and this shows up within your blog comments, and it kind of just lets people know that, hey, somebody else found your content so good that they shared it or talked about it on their website. And so again, that's your choice. Do you want that to show up in your comments on your articles or not? So you had that choice. You can either leave it clicked or unclicked. I'm going to leave it checked. Do you want to allow people to post comments on your articles? Now, these settings can be overridden for individual articles. I mean, I always leave these all checked. So let's see, other comment settings. Do you want the commenter to have to fill out a name and email in order to be able to leave a comment? And the answer to that is yes. Do the users need to be registered and logged in to comment? This is another layer of security that if you wanted to keep this a very, very close-knit community and you want them to have to be registered to your to your site and logged in to comment, you can check that. Most people are just happy to get any kind of comments. So, I mean, do you really want to make people jump through this extra hoop in order to be able to comment? That's up to you. I don't check it. Uh, you can also automatically close comments on articles that are older than, and you can specify the number of days, but the default is 14. I've always chosen to keep my comments open no matter how old the article is. Now, again, that's going to depend on what kind of site you're running. Maybe after a few days, the content is considered, old news or expired or whatever, and so you don't want to have to keep going back to, you know, answer more comments or reply to more comments, after a certain amount of time, and you can specify that. Otherwise, if you leave it unchecked, no matter if the article is 1 day old or 6 years old, people would still be able to comment on it. So the next setting is enabling threaded nested comments. Now, what happens when people comment on an article? Let's say you reply directly to that comment. This tells you how many times the comments will nest under each other, or how many times you can reply back and forth to each other from a single main comment. The default is 5. I'm going to change it to 6 because you usually end up having a back and forth discussion at least that many times. So I'm gonna change it to 6, and I'm gonna leave nested comments checked. You can also, if you're getting a lot of comments on your articles, if you get so popular that you're getting, hundreds of comments on every post, you may want to start breaking these comments out into pages after so many comments. In the beginning, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Your blog's going to be a ghost town for a while, so I would leave it unchecked for now, and it's something you can always come back and change later. And what order do you want the comments to be displayed in? Do you want the older comments at the top, or do you want the newer comments at the top? And that will also determine the order in which they stack. Again, if you're really new and you're only getting 2 and 3 comments, it's probably not really going to matter. So if you leave the default, the oldest comment that was put on the blog will be the first one people see, and they would have to scroll down to see the newer ones. And then you have your notifications of, do you want to be notified every single time somebody leaves a comment? Again, in the beginning, when this is not overwhelming because you don't have a lot of people commenting, it's kind of a nice thing to know. That way, there's something there for you to go and read and respond to. Do you want all your comments to be held for moderation? Now, again, this makes your blog a lot more hands-on. Every time somebody comments, you would have to come here and take a look at the comment before releasing it to show up on your website. Some people prefer to leave this checked to make absolutely sure no spam is making it onto the site, but there's other ways to prevent that. So I'm going to uncheck this. I don't want to have to come here specifically to release a comment. Do you want comments to be manually approved before a comment? Actually, I take that back because this was email me whenever. Okay, so do you want to be emailed whenever a comment is held for moderation? Okay, leave that checked. I'm sorry, I take that back. Now, let's go down here. Before a comment appears, do you want the comment to be manually approved? Okay, so if you check that, that will hold the comment for moderation, and then if you have this checked, it will email you that you got a comment, it's being held for moderation because you have this checked, and then you can come and review it and release it. Okay, so no, I'm not going to check this because I don't want to have to do that. Does the comment author have to have a previously approved comment before any other comments can show up on your site. Again, this is a, you know, if you got one comment that was really good and you feel okay, this is going to be a good commenter, it's not going to be a spam person, I can let the rest of their stuff show up without me moderating, you would leave this checked. Or if you don't want to be bothered with it, the first time the person comments, it can show up, you can uncheck this. So I'm going to uncheck it. Comment moderation. Now, if this is where you can kind of help control spam on your site, because spammers usually include links in their comments. So at what threshold do you want a comment held in the queue or held for moderation if there's links in their comment? I lower this right down to 1. The second somebody puts a link in their comment, I want to know about it, I want to know why, and I want to approve that comment before it shows up on my site. Okay, so these two boxes, here you can put in specific names, URLs, emails, IP addresses, or specific words or phrases that you want WordPress to flag as potential spam and hold for moderation so that it doesn't show up automatically. I have not yet used this, so but it's something to keep in mind that if you know that a particular IP address or email address is giving you a lot of problems, you can list them out in here, and then all future stuff will just automatically be sent to spam. You can also create a comment blacklist, and then their stuff won't show up at all. Okay, so down at the bottom are the avatars. If you've never used Gravatar, what you're able to do is have an image of yourself associated with an email address, and then if you have people, when they use their name and their email address to leave a comment, if they have an account with Gravatar, that picture of them will show up beside their comment. I like showing the Gravatars. It makes the comment section look a little more personable. And then you can check which rating you're willing to show. I always keep mine at G, so it's suitable for all audiences. But if the person doesn't have a Gravatar, what would you like to show beside that person's comment instead? Now you can leave it blank. You can use the little mystery man, the Gravatar symbol. You have all these choices. I'm going to choose blank, and I'm going to save all of these changes. Okay, and that brings us down to the next tab, which is media. So image sizes. So the sizes listed below determine the maximum dimension in pixels to use when adding an image to the media library. Okay, so the default for the thumbnail size is 150 by 150. Medium is 300 by 300. Large size is 1024 by 1024. I have never seen a need to change these default settings. I think maybe some of your themes will change these automatically anyway, so I just leave these alone. Now, the other thing, when you're uploading files, whether it's images or PDFs, or maybe you're going to upload MP3s, or whatever it is you're going to share, do you want this stuff to be uploaded into month and year based folders? Just from a personal experience, that is a pain in the butt. If you have to go back through and look for things later in the back end of, and I don't even mean, usually when I say back end, I mean here within your WordPress dashboard. If you have to go to your hosting service and look at your folders for your website in that dashboard, you would have to hunt through years worth of folders to find a particular picture that you may want to download off your server through FTP. Um, that's annoying. So I always uncheck this. I mean, maybe somebody else uh, disagrees, and that's okay. I mean, if you want to leave it checked, you can leave it checked, but I'm going to uncheck it. I'm going to save changes. Okay, and that takes us to permalinks. And again, the common settings for this are listed below, and for some reason instead of default, it's set to day and name. Once again, I don't like that. To make it the most search engine friendly, you just want your URL and the name of your post. So we're going to change this to post name. And now let's see, optional down here, if you like, you may enter custom structures for your category using topics. You leave these blank, and one of these, whichever you chose up here, will be used. And I want to use my URL and the post name as how people will link back to the posts or to find the post on my site. So we're going to save these changes. And the other thing to know about permalink settings, sometimes when you install new themes or new plugins, if things seem to get a little squirrely or not working quite right, sometimes you have to come back and come to your permalinks and say save changes again, even though you don't change anything here. It just kind of, for some reason, it kind of reconnects all the dots within your WordPress. So that's just something to keep in mind, of something to try. Okay, I think that's going to be it for this video. This is already getting pretty lengthy. So yeah, my gosh, we're almost up to 30 minutes already just going through the settings. So hopefully I didn't blow through all of these settings too fast for you. If there's ever a need to go back and change these in the future as we're setting up different things, I would definitely take the time to step back in here with you so that you can understand more about why these things are set the way they are. And definitely after we discuss about whether or not you want your blog to be your home page or a static page, we'll be back in here making some changes to these settings. So we'll be revisiting this again. Thank you for watching and listening to another session from How to Start a Website 2.0. This episode is just one of many available inside my online course. Register for free today at howtostartawebsite2.com/thevault.